October 23rd meeting of the Danville-Boyle County Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm Jim Boyd, the chairman, and welcome you to the meeting. First thing we're going to do is have an invocation. If you'll join me in prayer. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed on our community. Be with our first responders and policemen and firemen and military as they take care of us and protect us. Help us to make good decisions for our community and guide us in doing that. Amen. Okay, first order of business, or second order of business is approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, I take it no corrections. I'm supposed to ask that first. Have a second for the motion? Okay, Rita. All in favor? So moved, unanimous. Okay. Want to do the financial report?
This will be brief. You take out your financial statements that was handed out to you today. This is this is September, so if we would have been right on budget, we'd have about 25% of our revenue and 25% of our expenditures. You can see on the first page, if you go down a little bit more than halfway, total commission revenues were at 35%. So we're over what we had budgeted, and most of that, again, is still due to the fifth line down from the top, construction review fees, where we had budgeted $2,500 for the whole year, and we've got $22,000 so far year to date. So that's what's driving the over budget revenue, which is good news. Then if you look at expenses, I guess you would turn to the back page. No, not back page. It would be the third page, where it says total expenditures. And if you'll see, that's at 22% of plan. And again, if it had been right on, we'd be at 25, so we're a little under budget on expenditures. And other than, Michaela, if you have anything to comment on, I mean, that was basically going to be my some comment on the financial review.
No, no additional comments.
Yeah.
I guess we need a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Ms. Sleet, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next order of business is construction surety for Danville Center Estates. I guess we just need a motion to accept that, is that right, or discussion if there is any?
I would ask that we push that till after the subdivision approval, because it's for a subdivision that we've got later on the agenda, so I think we should accept it after we've approved the subdivision plat. I apologize, this is just the order of our agenda typically, but I think if we could push it till after the subdivision approvals, that would be good.
Okay. Understand the next order of business, the public hearings, is Centers ask us to table that until they have meetings.
Nope, the next order of business is the subdivision approvals.
Okay.
You
yeah,
skip
all
it.
right. Yes. So would you like to go over that for everybody?
Yep. Danville Host LLC has applied for the subdivision of 111.206 acres located on the South Danville bypass at Shannon Way and Ghost Pike in Danville. The property is zoned highway business, multifamily residential, and multifamily residential RM3, multifamily residential RM4, and single-family residential R1C. We recently did the zone change on the southern portion of this property here, from ag to R1C. This northern portion of the property, approximately half of it, about 55 acres, was done back in 2021. So there's a portion that's zoned RM3, a portion that's zoned RM4, and then more of the properties along the bypass are zoned highway business, which is just one of our commercial zoning districts. As part of the zone change requirements, I sent out notice to the neighboring property owners But they also asked that if the city required it, that they connect into Ghost Pike, which the city did ask for, and they are showing that connection. They are, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Would you repeat that again for me? Because that's what I was going to ask. Is that addition to Ghost Pike new then?
No,
this?
this was discussed during the zone
Yeah,
change
It's the same thing we've had
process. Yeah,
before.
and it was determined as part of the conditions that they were going to connect in if the city asked for it, which the city
So
did.
the streets have not changed. We're just talking about the grounds themselves today.
Yep,
Okay.
these two stub streets exist today. These entrances onto the bypass, they're just, not connecting into much yet, but Dean Way is to this here, but they are showing a roundabout here off of, sorry, I can't read that. Let me pull this up.
Can we, the drainage easement hatched area in there, can we talk about that for a minute?
What's that?
The drainage in this very center, it's called drainage, the hatched area that we have, very unusual shape there.
Yep.
Does that mean that you cannot build anything on that property when it's that?
It's an easement, so it's gonna belong to the property owner with maintenance, but it's just, that's gonna be a basin where the drainage is going to. So it's gonna have to be maintained as such, and
Okay, so there's no houses or businesses, buildings of
No,
large
they're-
nature that'll be put there?
Is there sort of like a pond that's in that?
yeah, that might be the exact location of the pond, if I had the aerial, but I believe it is.
It's just the unusual shape, that's what I was getting, because I
Yeah.
remember a pond in there too, but I didn't know exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're showing a creation of, let me get to the purpose statement here, sorry. It's a busy plat.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so they're creating lots 10 through 20 and Tract A, which is the roadway easement there, or public right-of-way that they're gonna be dedicating. And that's, really all I have. They're separating out this R1C tract to be a separate lot. That'll be later purchased, and just creating lots for the highway business and the RM3 and RM4 district, as well as the public right-of-way, so. Are there any questions for me on this?
There's a lot of lines on here, so patient with me. The only road access that was that one up there. This is not a road access back here, this is here.
Currently. They're not showing the subdivision here, so, R1C, it allows it to subdivide into single-family units. This is what we talked about with the zoning map amendment. They were showing a connection onto Ghost Pike for that. There is some water features through here, so until they engineer it, we're not quite sure what that's gonna look like.
Are you saying this doesn't reflect what we're doing under, that's been done before? This is accurate, isn't it? This
What-
region down here, Balloon, that was what we did before primarily, wasn't it? Or is it?
What do you mean, what we did before?
Looking at the property that's down here, is this represented correctly down here at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it follows the
Alright, that's what
zone
I'm-
change
that's fine.
boundaries.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't think we had looked at that section below before. Is this
We-
new for us to discuss?
What's that?
Is this new area for us to discuss?
No, this was the zone change we just did,
Okay.
in 2024. I forget what month, but it's been in the last few months here. Yeah, in July. So we just did this portion, the R1C. This northern portion came through in 2021. It was under the previous director. I wasn't here for that.
Right.
But that was what converted it to highway business and RM3 and RM4. We just did the southern section here, these 55
Which meeting
acres.
connected Shannon Way into Ghost Pike?
What's that?
Which meeting connected Shannon Way into Ghost Pike?
The 2021 meeting.
2021, it's been on the
Yeah.
It's
paperwork.
been there for a long time.
The
Yeah,
definition of what the ground in between.
These are the conditions, and you can see condition 8 The property will be limited to a maximum of 2 street access points to South Danville Bypass, 1 street access point to Hightower Road, and additionally 1 street access point to Ghost Pike upon the city's requirement of said access point, and only in that instance. The city engineer has asked for it, and they're showing it as required.
Yeah, I wanted to be clear that that's what I understand now what you're saying, it does make sense. But when you look at it first, you have to look here for a while to discover what, just so we fully understand what we're looking at.
Yep.
May I ask another question?
Yep.
This, where it says the gas pipeline easement?
Yep.
Does the gas pipeline run all the way across there?
I believe so, yes. And it would run within the easement. So they won't be able to build within those easements, and I don't believe the intent is to build in between the easements either. They will be showing a road that crosses the easements here. Right now, they're just gonna be stubbing it out, with an easement here, basically, is how they're labeling it. It's just a temporary, but I think they expect the, R1C property, when it develops, to actually hook into Hightower Road here, so construct that road across the easements.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Michaela?
From the community?
From Michaela, I asked for right now.
Okay.
We'll get to the community. Okay, so do we have any public comments from the community? That anybody would like to speak? If you would, please come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Well, of course, as a resident of Ghost Pike, I'm opposed to this, and y'all know that. I would like to point out something
We
to
need a
you all.
name and address.
Yeah, my name is Chuck Stallert, 1510 Ghost Pike. The entrance that they're showing here onto Ghost Pike, prior to that there's a hill that goes up Ghost Pike, and then there's a big dip. And when you're coming down Ghost Pike from the bypass, you cannot see cars when they're in that dip. So you're gonna have a person coming on to Ghost Pike, turning left, there's gonna be a car coming over that hill. There could be additional accidents there. I'm just making you all aware of
How
that.
about where Shannon Way's coming into it?
Yes, yes. And I would love to get a copy of that if possible, if they're available. Sure. But I'm just making you all aware of that safety feature there. We constantly travel that road, daily, and we have to be very cautious. And then, of course, at some point, you're gonna be talking about the next 55 acres, I'd say, in the future, and then the curve becomes an issue too. So just keep that in mind as you all approve this. So, again, we're opposed to it. We know what's gonna happen. That's a reality. But it's definitely going to change traffic patterns on Ghost Pike.
I'm Will Stallard, 976 Ghost Pike. I want to know, do y'all have any plans to widen Ghost Pike?
I don't believe the city has plans at this time, but
How are we going to support the traffic you're going to throw on the road?
what's that?
How are we going to support the traffic you're going to throw on the road?
I think it's got 18 to 20 feet of pavement now in that northern portion. I'm not
Have you
sure,
actually
but-
driven down there?
Yes, I've driven down there.
Okay. So I assume at the stoplight, you're going to have at least 3 lanes, straight lane, a turning lane, and a lane coming into Ghost Pike.
That's gonna be to the engineer's discretion. They're coordinating with KYTC on
Yeah,
this
we're going to have a
project, so-
mess.
What we'll do is by recording it here, we'll have it available. You can send that, make sure the engineer has the information.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the city engineer's been reviewing this project as we go on it, so.
And you're right, could be busy.
Oh, it will be. I mean, you send them as traffic out on a road that's not designed for that kind of traffic, we're gonna have a mess. It's gonna be like the intersection up at Tractor Supply and Five Star. That's a catastrophe. And we're gonna have another one. I mean, did we learn anything? All right, so, and when we left here in 2021, my understanding was that was gonna be a cul-de-sac. And then we come back in here, back in July, and we find out there are coming out on Ghost Pike. I mean, you know, that was the impression that I walked out of those doors understanding. And now, you know, because the city, decided to change it. You know, I think I went through this whole thing back in July because the city decided to change it. That's what we're gonna do, because that's the betterment for the city. Well, that ain't even a city road. Ghost Pike's not even in the city limits. Y'all are gonna do what you want. I mean, the city's gonna do what they want regardless. It's not fair. I can't vote in the city. I can't do anything in the city as far as, you know, helping to elect the folks that make the decisions. But yet you're gonna come dictate to me what you're gonna do. How fair is that? So I understand. I don't like, though, I think this is, you know, also playing the game a little bit. I don't like how in Tract A, the 55 acres, you're gonna throw that up there and talk about it today and it's blank. You know, I don't know, that just seems,
That's a reflection of there's no near-term activity planned. That's all that says.
seems interesting. So, thank you.
Things change.
Michaela, would it be correct to say that this is a final plat, so it's going to record, and there's not yet any ability to divide this? So if they showed division on the lower half, then that would be recording something that they're not undertaking today and they're not yet entitled to?
Yes.
They couldn't show it just for reference today because this is going to be recorded with the clerk, so they're not dividing it yet. That's why
Well,
it's not up
and they
there.
are creating a separate tract. I mean, they're creating Tract A there that can be sold as a 55 acre tract that can be purchased. It just.
But I thought that was already done.
No, that was not done. The way the track laid before, you can see kind of where the consolidation line is here. This used to be 2 tracks, and they just did the zone change on those 2 properties. It was just a split zoning. They didn't have them as separate tracks prior to this. Yep.
And any development down there will come back to this group again.
Yep.
Once they've got it defined.
So as Will was talking about the city engineer, Josh, personally, I've had several conversations with him, told me the tentative plan for the 55 acres is another road access off of the Ghost Pike, and it would be a cul-de-sac into that 55 acres because of the drainage ditch.
Either he has not presented to him.
I'm just telling you what they're saying out in the public. So that's something for you all to prepare for. So you're looking at 2 roads onto Ghost Pike, and that's what they're talking about. I mean, he said due to the drainage ditch, plus you've got, as you pointed out, the gas line. There's actually 3 gas lines there. Were you aware?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's 3 gas lines. When you go down past the curve where we all live, I forget the year that they put the new sewer system in from Junction to Old Stanford Road. Of course, all of our properties were affected by that. The plan is now to hook in behind our house and run that gas line, or not gas line, excuse me, sewer line all the way up to Cattleman's, through all those properties. That's a big deal. So 6 months ago, well, 2 years ago, actually, our daughter built a house, and they were approved for a septic system. The city came to them and said, you all wait, we will hook you up in the next 6 months to this new sewer line, which has yet to take place. The city currently has provided them a temporary holding tank, comes out weekly and pumps their sewer into a truck. It's been going on, it's over 2 years now. And the problem that they're having getting that sewer run are the 3 gas lines. Every time you ask them, when's the sewer gonna be done? They said, well, we're waiting on easements for the gas line. So the gas line, the gas companies do control some decision-making about that sewer line, which is gonna affect all that property. Just making you all aware of that scenario too. So to me, the city, as we talk about, the engineers are not necessarily communicating their future plans with the planning and zoning because that 55 acres will be developed. Right now, the plan is to have a cul-de-sac road onto Ghost Pike above that one in the curve. They've already cleared some land there. If you've been out there, they've been clearing that end of that 55 acres. And so it's definitely going to have a major impact on our road.
Does anybody else wish to comment on the plat? The plan?
Where is the city and where are the engineers and where are the landowners? Are they represented here today?
I don't believe they are here today. They-
I don't see any of them.
It's because it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's just an opportunity for us to get. I hate it for you folks because you're the one that gets to take it. But I appreciate your all's conversation.
Well, you want to speak? Go ahead.
Steve Underwood, 954 Ghost Pike. This is gonna hurt everybody down Ghost Pike. But I feel like it's hurting me worse than the rest of them. It's right in my front door. I'm the first house. I gotta look at all this mess. And you're talking about, Will, talking about that hill? My driveway is right on that hill. And trust me, if you don't pull up top of that hill before you turn in my drive, you're gonna get plastered.
Are you on the west side or the east side of Ghost?
I would be on the east side.
East side?
I'm the first house behind the little oil company. And Mr. Case, when I bought that, he was fair enough that he moved me up, on up the road a little bit, 25 feet, or I'd have been right underneath it. I couldn't have turned in my drive. But somebody get killed right there, I promise you. And if you don't believe me, come out there and sit on my front porch and watch the traffic. Now, wait till you dump all this other. And I've seen several people killed at that stoplight out there because trucks do not stop coming either way. Cop could sit out there all day and write tickets all day long. A tractor and trailer will not stop if he's coming from Danville or if he's coming from Stafford. If he's coming up through there in the light, I've sat at that light and it never get to go because you gotta wait till everybody stops. I will not pull out till the traffic stops. It's one of the worst stoplights in Danville because it's on a hill each way. And there's already been several killed there. Y'all can live with it, I guess we can too. You know, I'd like for the 3 that voted for this to buy my house and then vote. I promise you, you wouldn't vote it the way you voted. You know, I know everything changes, but, you know, got to take a little consideration into what people have. That's all I have.
do have one other question. My understanding was back when we left here last time, I mean, obviously when I leave, I don't understand everything right because now things are changed again. I didn't think they were allowed to start anything until that traffic study, state traffic study was done at Ghost Pike and the bypass.
No, we had asked them to coordinate with the state and the city engineer on the project, which is occurring as we go through the construction plan review.
Oh, sorry, I didn't understand that right when I left last time.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak before we? Do we have any discussion from the commission or anybody want?
We're closing the public portion?
It's not a,
It's not
Oh, that's
public.
right.
it's not a hearing.
My reaction here is whether or not we could take our conversations that we had here and go back to the city engineer, since it's the individual I have, and ask him to evaluate and make a recommendation again. I think it's important to have this topic addressed for sure. This is the time to do that before we do a vote.
You want him to write something up? Is that what you're saying?
Writing up is a good way to focus and put something down, yes, because we're interpreting things and presenting those. Having a written document, guidance from them would make sense, yes. I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
That just allows us to understand what it is, because it's none of us have the ownership of, yes, it's an intersection, and they need the other information to support the discussions. I don't know what to do about the traffic lights on the main road out there. That's something else. I was just referring to the intersection of the Shannon Way with Ghost Pike and the hill arrangement is what I was thinking.
So I guess we would be asking the city engineer to comment or see how they intend to address the concerns of the property owners along Ghost Pike. You know, what are his plans, thoughts on how we're going to address their concerns?
The county has lots of those hidden intersections, which can be terrible, and they all have their issues on here. I'm not trying to downplay it or upplay this situation, but it is, since we've got it brought up at the table at this point, it makes sense to understand what the intentions in the future are before we proceed with doing anything.
As always, I'm concerned about whether adequate traffic study has been done. You know me, I always am interested in traffic and whether we adequately study.
When we approved this in 21, did you say?
Yes.
Streets come into the intersection there, did we ask for any of the stuff?
What stuff?
Any of the safety stuff, any of the stuff from the engineer?
I mean, I think
I don't recall.
we basically left it to the city engineer's discretion is how I'd read the conditions that we put in, so.
And since we're having a discussion over it, I think we need to inform the city engineer this is a topic
I'm
of concern.
just wondering why we didn't ask for it then.
Didn't know enough about it. They hadn't decided where the Shannon Way was specifically at.
Oh, they hadn't decided.
They hadn't fixed it yet. They had desires, but we kind of left it to them. Tell us what you need. That's what I recall.
I don't recall it at all. Of course, I can't remember yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the traffic study wasn't asked for in 21. I didn't see much mention of it in the minutes as far as waiving it, but usually it's the city engineer that has at least in the current ordinance, which this should have been applicable for the zoning
And
map amendment, is that the city engineer has the authority to waive it. I can tell you definitively what happened for the R1C portion of the zone change, but yeah, I mean, the way I read the conditions is that it was just the city engineer's discretion. I think they were having those conversations when they were going through this.
the,
Seems to me
construction
that
plan
I
process.
recall
Can
that,
I make a comment?
Just a second, and you can, but
You
you
can
can
just
come
a
on up if you want.
seems to me that I recall that, there had already been discussion between the city engineer and what the state's plans were, and and we were, when the city engineer tells us that's what is gonna happen, then but I can recall there was some discussion about traffic flow. Thank you, sir.
I recall that also, and I think the city engineer said he and the state were still working on it. And we were doing a preliminary, it was a preliminary plat we were approving, and the final plat still had to come back to us, so that's why we waited on further discussions. Does anybody else recall it that way?
The key word here is recall. What I recall in 2021 is there was good representation from the developer. There was a gentleman here representing the development. He told us in this meeting, plus in that hallway, that they had no interest in a road onto Ghost Pike. That was not part of their personal plan, that they hoped to keep a line of trees to maintain the integrity of the rural setting of Ghost Pike and have a cul-de-sac there. I mean, he told me that. Will, do you recall that conversation in 2021? So we, as landowners, walked away thinking, well, it's going to be a development, but they're not going to come onto Ghost Pike. Now the city, who's not represented here today, that I'm aware of, has come up with this plan to enter onto Ghost Pike. And I just feel like we're all being played here, you all too, because it's hard to keep up with all this. We've tried to attend meetings that we thought would be relevant to our way of life and the integrity of our road. But the city, as we call them, whatever that entity is making these decisions and laying them before you guys to rubber stamp. And I guarantee you that 55 acres that I mentioned earlier will be developed too. They will come to you with an entrance onto Ghost Pike. So I don't know where you go from here. I really don't even know what the purpose of this meeting is, other than just to review this. I don't think you can change anything, but I want to let you know, as a citizen, I was told certain things and interpreted certain things, and now it's all changed.
So,
Any further discussion?
Director, you're going to take that ownership to follow up on that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
So we want to table
Yeah,
a
we'll-
discussion until, without a vote, without knowing that this plat would be approved if we voted on it. We want to ask the engineer to write a report for us.
Give us a report and discussion around this topic, and that reflects the road intersection with Ghost Pike.
I think a report, and then also come to the next meeting and just address what their plans are,
Yeah,
so they can handle questions.
I think that would be a good thing to do.
Would somebody like to make a motion to that?
I'd like to make a motion that we table this, as you have discussed, and to get the information on the topic,
And have the city engineer
and have
respond with a report.
the city engineer respond with a direction, clarity, details.
And attend the meeting.
And we would like to have him present during the meeting.
Second motion.
All in favor?
If I could just add a comment
Yeah,
to that, which is that if there were an applicant here appearing, they might be right to push back against that kind of vote. I think the commission's entitled to ask for information. I think where a plat checks all the boxes, we have to approve it. I'm just offering you a caution in future situations that if someone were to raise a stink about tabling something, they might be right to do so.
Well, if they were here, perhaps they would be able to answer some of the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess I'm with Sally in this conversation.
Certainly.
We're in that kind of, it's not as cut and dry. Pushback could be, but the pushback I expect is, here's the logic for what we're doing.
Right.
And that category, that's what we're trying to understand.
My suggestion is more for future situations than this one for the reasons you all raised.
Thank you, sir.
Can we vote on the motion again? I didn't get a count on what it was.
The table?
To table?
It's unanimous.
Unanimous then, thank you.
That means it'll show up in the agenda again.
I'm sorry you all have to come back again, but I think you
We'll be
need to
happy
come
to
back
see you.
again, but yes.
For listening.
Sorry the city engineer didn't attend, he was invited. Okay.
I made a mistake on the agenda. I forgot to add an additional plat that we got in, and I didn't send it out. I apologize. That was my oversight. It did go through tech review. Dale's here to talk about it, but James Stephen has applied for a subdivision to create 8 tracks, so I'll let Dale talk about it. I don't have copies on me, but I can go run and get them if you guys
Do you have
want to
anything
take
to
a break.
project up?
No. I did not recall until Dale showed up to this meeting. And so
Sorry about that, Dale.
it was my oversight. I'm really sorry. If you want to take a minute break, I can go grab some extra copies to hand out to all of you, if you don't care to just wait a minute.
I'd like to see it.
We could
Okay.
also use this time to take a vote to table the surety approval for
I'll
Danville
let you
Host.
all do
Oh, we
that.
missed that?
Yeah.
I would like one too.
Okay.
So we need to make that motion?
Yeah, I think we've tabled subdivision approval. If we could table the surety as well, please.
Okay, well, I'll just make a motion then that we table Daniel Host LLC's application for the construction security until the next meeting, until we have a chance to vote on the subdivision approval.
Thank you. We have a second for the motion? Second. Okay, all in favor of tabling it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember, I just don't remember a lot of the specifics. A minute? Yeah.
There's 3 major inlets now.
Well, there's worse things, I guess.
All right. I decided to hand out my one with comments. Dale received all these comments at tech review. He's probably made those corrections, but I haven't gotten the final copy of that, so I figured we could just go over it. But this did receive preliminary approval at tech review, so I apologize for my oversight on this, but do you want me to go over, it, or do you just want to?
I mean,
Okay, go for it.
this is the Jim Stevens Farm on Webster Road, just outside of Parable. They're gonna divide it into, I think it's about 8 tracks. No new road, anything, it's all existing road frontage. We've already made the, corrections for technical review. I have not got the utility signatures yet, that's the reason I haven't just brought it back in. But it's, there's a creek along the back, and I can just sort of show you. So there's a little bit of floodplain on the property, right there, on that back 40-acre tract. It's not a lot, but it is.
Okay, yeah, it is on track
a little
1.
bit.
Yep.
So there, so there is a little bit of floodplain back there on that creek.
There's no floodplain where the pond's at, though, up at the top?
No, I mean, that pond is
Track 4?
man-made, it's
Okay.
that, what used to be a creek that comes through to the pond, or a branch, dumps out into this larger creek back here, so been no floodplain on that.
And as we said, yes, indeed, that line is in the middle of the pond.
Yeah, yeah, not to our liking, but that's what they wanted to do, so. And there's nothing that says that we can't tell them no. And that happens from time to time, but, and the deed, if, you know, this property is actually going to auction. So just because it's broken out this way, it may not sell that way, but if it does, in the deed, there will be some, help me, not easements, if you will,
It
but
would be like a joint access
yes,
agreement.
to that pond, and, you know, as far as maintenance and then that kind of thing goes.
So what you want is to create 8 tracks
Correct.
out of an existing property.
Yes, yes.
Yep, all the tracks are meeting our minimum lot size requirements, minimum frontage requirements. They had the wrong setback shown on the original plat they brought in, but that's gonna be rectified. So, you know, they are meeting all of our requirements that way. Most of my comments were really just cleaning up some notes and things rather than needing to change any lot lines or anything
Yeah,
like
I
that.
remember not having much. You had the notes and comments. There
Yep.
really wasn't any technical issues that I recalled.
No.
Does anybody have any questions for Dale? Is there any further discussion? If not, can we have, somebody have a motion to either approve or disapprove the formation of 8 lots?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 8 lots with the comments and changes that was agreed upon during the meeting. And I think as soon as it shows up and you verify, the director verifies it's acceptable.
You have anything you want to add to the motion, Henry?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. Sorry about
Thank
that.
Oh, we've kind of moved around on the agenda today. I guess we are down at the bottom for the committee reports. We have an advisory committee report. They didn't meet, did they, Michaela?
No, they did not meet.
Okay, and we've had a financial report. Is there a separate budget committee report? Okay, and personnel didn't meet, did they?
Nope.
Okay. Do you want to bring up the change in the meeting schedule?
Yep, so this is something that Lisa had emailed you all about previously. This is something that we tend to do in the November, December timeline because the November meeting falls the day before Thanksgiving and the December meeting, I think, falls 2 days before Christmas as scheduled, so it'll be tough to get a quorum. I know I personally won't be here for the Thanksgiving meeting if we keep it. So I think we were looking at November 20th. Yep, and then December 18th, is that right? It sounds like we should have a quorum for both. I think the December one's gonna be a little bit tighter, but if that works for you all, it sounds like we're gonna have a fair amount of applications for November and December. Usually we combine these, but it seems like we might actually need the 2 meetings.
You're actually seeing applications? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, well, we've got some carryovers, like the center ones. We have another zone change that I expect to go in November, and I've been talking to some surveyors and engineers, and it sounds like we might get a few more zone change applications, so I think they'll be keeping us busy for the next few months. But if that works for you all, we would just have to approve the meeting changes.
Do you need the tech meeting that's usually pulled any earlier prior to
Yeah,
that?
that's a good
You got
point.
enough time?
We usually do those 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So the November one will be November 6th. And the December 18th will be on December 4th, so. Yeah, for tech review.
Henry, I should have included you in that. Is that okay with your schedule?
Suits me perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, so if that works for everyone, we can just take a vote on that, and I'll put it up on the website, so people know the changes, and we'll email out local surveyors and engineers so they're aware of the changes as well.
Oh, will somebody make a motion that we move the meeting schedule to that? Okay, do we have a second? Thank you, Ms. Lee. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Can I ask a question? Why do we do this every year? Why don't we just schedule it?
I've talked with Henry about that. I think it's because our bylaws dictate when our regular scheduled meetings are supposed to be. So we'd either have to change the bylaws to note something about November and December, or we basically have to do these as special called meetings.
And changing the bylaws would take exactly as much work as we just did, so we could do that.
In the past, we had one meeting to cover Yeah, we usually do the first week of December for both November and.
Yep, yep. So,
Are there any other announcements or business?
I scheduled, future land use map meetings for the comprehensive plan. So Monday, November 4th at 5:30 PM, that's gonna be in the training room here at City Hall. Thursday, November 7th at 9:30 AM, that's gonna be in Intercounty in their community room. And then Wednesday, November 13th at 5:30 PM, that's gonna be in the training room at City Hall. I have put those on the website, and I'm gonna ask the city and county to help us advertise that as well. So anyone's invited to join. You all don't have to, but, I'm gonna put the future land use map draft up on our website here in the next few days. We did talk about it a little bit at the comp plan committee meeting, and I've been meeting with city and county staff and other agencies to work on this draft, so.
You said the November 4th, 7th, and 13th of November,
Yep, they're up there. 4th, 7th, and 13th.
but that Thursday is at 9:30 in the morning.
Yep, I did one day meeting and 2 evening meetings.
So you'll send an email out just reconfirming this for the folks that aren't here?
Yep, I can send that out, and I'll send out a link with the map so you all can take a look at it too. Yep, and so if you have any comments, just give me a call, shoot me an email, just let me know.
If you had comments on the 4th, would you update the map for the 7th?
No, I think I'll take all comments from all 3 meetings, and then we'll review them, and I'll speak with appropriate entities to decide how we want to, review and handle those comments, and then I'll put out a new draft.
So
that
it's like presenting a first-time presentation during each one of those 3 days?
Yeah, this is just a draft of the future land use map. I don't expect this will be the final version. I anticipate there will be changes after we get comments and we look at it more. There's so many properties to look at. You could look at it for hours and hours, and there's probably, minor tweaks that need to be made, so that's why we bring it out to the public. And
Mhm.
Okay, any other announcements? Then do we have a motion to adjourn? So I'll take those 2 hands, one is the motion and one is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank